Look at our live video series at the 2022 Hyundai Elantra N. And the reason we're looking at this one today specifically is to answer the question, what is it like to daily drive this car, to help you decide if it's a good daily driver for you? Because I've probably said in the past that this is a little bit more of an extreme car, and it is certainly not for everybody. And I think that's probably a fair statement, but maybe I've tilted a little too far about the daily drivability of this car. So we're gonna talk about some of the compromises you make when you daily drive a performance car like this, and we'll talk about if those make sense for you. So that's kind of where we're headed today. All right, if you've never joined us before, we actually film these things live. So we're doing this live, and if you're not live with us and you just wanna get to the content of the video, you can skip right ahead to the 3-minute mark, and that's what we'll get going with right there. In the meantime, we're gonna show you how to join us live if you want, and we're also gonna talk about some news and some notes. So let me just flip the camera around over here. I have a regular saying, don't forget the keys, and I almost did forget them again today, so I appreciate you guys. All right, here we go. If you want to join us live, you're going to go to our YouTube page at exactly 2 o'clock on a weekday. It's March 22nd, 2 o'clock exactly, and you're going to refresh this page. You can see right now we've got a sort of standard video right here. If you refresh the home page, you will see that that standard video is taken care of or is replaced by this live video right here. We're going to click into that. You're going to have to watch a quick little ad because I think that's how they pay me. Anyways, I can't skip that ad right now. So while I'm trying to skip this ad, video will play after ad, good. So while that's skipping itself, I'm gonna run a quick little ad for the 3 dealers that support this channel: Brantford Kia, Brantford Hyundai, and Owen Sound Hyundai. Those are 3 dealers that make this happen. And if you're in Ontario, I'm gonna ask you to support them. They support me, and if you buy from them, I think I can help you out with that as well, so we'll take care of that. All right, I'm just waiting for my video to load here. I'm having a scrolly wheel, so I can see your comments. That's all I need to see. All right, news and notes. Let's do real quick for the next minute or so, news and notes. We're introducing 2 new hosts. So obviously, you guys have seen Gabby. You're gonna meet Charlotte soon as well, so we'll have a video up on that. Probably have that up about tomorrow morning or so. Tomorrow sometime. And we'll do film a couple videos with at least 1 or 2 of them this afternoon as well. So you're gonna see some new people coming up just to help me carry the load here a little bit, so we'll talk about more about that in the future. And what else have we got coming up? Stinger news. I have 2020. I have Stinger news. We'll tell you about that in the next video when we do that. Hybrid Sportage. Have news about that. We'll have a video about that coming up very quickly now as well. And I think that's about it for now. That's the main news for now. So do me a favor, guys. This is going to be a lower volume video. Less people are going to tune into this because this is not a mainstream car for a lot of people. So if you're a fan of this car, if you're a fan of what we're doing here, let's hit the like button right now. Try to get a bunch of people who are fans of this car to jump in, and we will go from there. All right, 3-minute mark. Here we go. All right, so the reason we're doing this video is basically because I've done a video or 2 on this car before, and we've also done the Veloster N, the Kona N, and we're gonna have them back here for more. So if you are a fan of this car, feel free to subscribe to the channel because we're gonna have it back here. We're gonna go over all the questions that you have. But one of the most common questions I get asked about this car is they compare it with something else, something like maybe the Kia Stinger, or something with like the Kia K5. I get a lot of those at the Kia store here. But you'll also compare it to things like a Mustang, things like all kinds of muscle cars, all kinds of Hondas and other vehicles. And one of the questions that we get asked most common, at least I get asked most common, is what is this like as a daily driver? And compared to some of these other cars, like even let's go stay within the Hyundai lineup, the Sonata N line. The Sonata N line is a far more daily drivable ready car than this one is. But that doesn't mean that you can't daily drive this car. You're just going to be forced with some compromises. Now you can see at the back here, you've got those large oversized exhaust pipes. And trust me, they look small on video. They look exceptionally large in person. And when I backed it in here, my boss who sits on the other side of the wall behind me, him and someone working with him came out here and was, what is that noise? So this is a vehicle that is going to make more noise than your typical daily driver. It's also going to have some compromises as far as a plush suspension. Now we'll talk about that as we go through, but we're going to go through in detail what this car is, why I think it could be a good daily drive for some of you, and maybe why it wouldn't be for others of you. So that's what we're going to do, and we talk about it. So let's dig in right now. First of all, kind of like the key. Daily drivability, you want little things like, remote start on the key fobs. So again, even though this is, somebody says, sweet, we can be loud and obnoxious. I love it already. I'm just reading my regular comments here. So right now you have remote start right there on the key fob, and this is a keyless entry key. So got a cool little N badging on the back there, so you can see that. And yeah, overall, I just quite like the way they do this key as far as everyday drivability. The big thing is I can keep it in my pocket at all times. I don't have to pull it out. And as a regular everyday driver, that's just kind of a nice feature. No, obviously no key. And this car has a few features. So let's just jump in before we go too far. Hopefully you guys aren't getting the scrolly wheel that I'm getting here. The Elantra N, let's just really quickly talk about it here. $39,054, so it's right around $39,000. You add the automatic transmission, it's going to go a little bit above that. This is the standard transmission there, the price. And the big thing is, let's click into the performance page here. If you get the 6-speed manual right there, you have smooth rev rep matching and that kind of thing. And this is an 8-speed wet clutch, dual clutch transmission, and you got a 2-liter engine making 276 horsepower, 289 foot-pounds of torque, and 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 5.3 seconds. Now, to be fair, 100 kilometers an hour is a little harder. This front wheel drive, so it doesn't hook up like a rear wheel drive car, but it still has extremely good traction. So don't doubt that a front wheel drive traction car can't hook up. But really where you notice this car's power is passing power, acceleration, coming out of a turn, heading into a corner and coming out of that corner. That's really where you start feeling the power of this car, even more so than that 5.3 second 0 to 60 time, which is exceptional for not that long ago. All right, let's jump inside this car and take a look at some of the things that, may make this a daily driver, a good daily driver, or maybe not. First of all, the Elantra is fairly low to the ground as a regular car because it's a car. I don't think it's any lower here, but it is noticeably lower, and these seats scoop out. Now, as a daily driver, you do have exceptional seats here. They are very good. This is a lighted little N model there. That's lit in your screen there. It's hard to show you on camera. It doesn't film that well, but it is lit. So it looks pretty cool. And yeah, these are comfortable seats. Now, you do not have a lumbar adjustment on this seat here. It is a manual seat. It has height adjustment and everything else. I have a funny back, and this seat fits me just perfectly. Usually I need a little bit of lumbar support. Sometimes I adjust it a little bit. This one doesn't have that, but I don't think that would be an issue for me. And they hug you quite well. So, compared to a lot of cars, you actually have a better seat than I would say in some other cars. Now, they are firm seats. Now, a lot of people are under the impression that a soft seat is a comfortable seat and a firm seat is an uncomfortable seat, and that's not true. Firm seats are very comfortable in a car if they have support in the right places, and this one does. So for someone who is pretty specific about seats, this is a very comfortable seat. No adjustable headrest here. I don't think it matters. The regular Elantra would have an adjustable headrest. And again, no lumbar support, which again, for me, I also don't know if that's going to matter for a whole lot of people. So everyday driving, very good seats, but if they don't work for you, there's not a whole lot of adjustability to make it work for you, which is why you may want to step into another vehicle in our lineup, which has more adjustments. So again, Kia Stinger, not quite in the same price range, but Kia K5, Hyundai Elantra, those kind of things. Those are our Hyundai Sonata N line. Those are some of the performance vehicles that we cover on this channel. And those will have more seating adjustments than this, but they may or may not be more comfortable. So flip the screen around here. Let's turn the car to the on position. Push button start, kind of convenient. So we're going to touch that, and we're going to try to watch our screens come to life here. And there you go. You can see them. All right. So what you have here, when we talk about mainstream vehicles, I'm just going to turn the climate system off for a second. You have the standard dash that you see in, let me just zoom in here so we can actually focus on there. The standard dash you see in pretty much every Hyundai vehicle. In fact, this looks almost no different than my Hyundai Santa Cruz. Now, there are a couple little tweaks here. First of all, ignore fuel efficiency. Obviously, this car, it can do better than this. But what you're going to see, the couple little tweaks is, see that little yellow line there? That is a digital yellow line that will disappear as the car warms up, and it could be down as low as 5,000 RPM. The idea is it gives you an artificial rev line just to keep that in mind as the car warms up. And you also have this little racetrack checkered flag there, in addition to the regular controls we have. But as an overall drivability type dash, it's actually very, very good. We can cycle through here. There's your navigation information. So if you have your navigation set on this screen here, you can toggle that up to your main screen there. You've got tire pressure monitors. All that stuff is kind of stuff we'd expect to have. Lane keep, lane follow assist type information. This would work with your other systems as well, but you can have, for instance, the grayish lines there will become white if it sees the lane markers. And of course, your driver attention level is in here, all normal stuff. This is the only different one. You have the oil temp and engine temperature. You have the turbo PSI and torque. You can keep these toggled as you're driving. Lap timer right here. There's lap 1. And then you have a G-force meter, which is a pretty fun thing to have there as well, because the little ball will move around there based on your braking and your accelerating and your cornering and that kind of thing. And it's just kind of fun. So again, that's not standard stuff, but the rest of this is pretty standard. unless you do something like this and switch it into a full-on performance mode. Again, you can still see that yellow red line. Now it tells you your gear in here. Right now we're in park. It could say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8 in there. Your speedometer's down the bottom. TAC takes over. Turbo and PSI, or turbo and torque gauge, temperature and oil and engine temperature right there. And you just kind of have some cool gauges. So overall, you know, these performance gauges, drivability, I think it's all very good. But you can, again, bring it back to just the normal type setting. You can switch through drive modes here as well. There's the regular sport mode, the regular eco mode, the regular normal mode. I will say that this car is a car, if you're going to drive it every day, you're going to want to drive it in the eco mode. If you're thinking about everyday comfort and drivability, eco obviously is going to fight for fuel efficiency, but because this car has so much power, eco mode is not a sluggish or boring mode at all. It just dulls everything down, including the exhaust sound. So the exhaust sound is always going to be a little bit noisy. In eco mode, it sounds pretty cool. You're not going to have any neighbors upset with you, but they will hear you coming home if you're backing up in a tight, condo area or something like that. It does have some noise. If you put it in the full-on sport mode, the full-on N mode, now you're talking about an exhaust that is quite noisy, and at least coming home late at night, your neighbors are going to question you a little bit, which makes it kind of fun. All right, coming over here, again, everything you would expect in a daily driver type thing. First of all, you could set up the guest mode here and also go driver 1 or driver 2. So you can choose whatever you want. We're going to keep it in the guest mode for me today, but you could customize. I could put my name, Peter. I work with Pat. I could put his name in here, or the guest mode. You could do whatever you want. So if you've got these modes here, I do recommend setting them up, because as you start customizing this screen, including some of your information, maybe some safety information, if you have a different driver, they may not be prepared for everything that you set it up for. So, of course, the fun one here is the N mode. This whole dash display comes to life, and you can just see all kinds of things that you can just customize. So throttle here, you can see what we've done, our gauges, throttle and time, so you can see how much throttle we've used and how much time, that kind of thing, 0 to 100%, that kind of thing. So since we started the car, obviously, it hasn't used any throttle, but you have little bar graphs in here. You can make it full screen. Let's just do that. Oil temperature, there's your history there. Engine temperature, speed, so you'll be able to keep an eye on some of these things that you've done. Brake pressure, which is pretty cool. So you can go through all of these things, power, torque. Again, we haven't started the car, so again, we're not looking for these, but you have all these gauges in here that you can kind of look at, and then of course, see everything at a glance. It's a pretty fun thing to kind of go through here, customize, but that, again, has nothing to do with drivability. You just have, if you want to do, there's your gauges there. This is actually a pretty fun one for your passengers. It gives them a tachometer, and there'll be a yellow light in whichever gear you're in. So let's see if I can go to drive and see if it goes there. Yeah, so there's yellow light. We're in gear 1. Oh, you can't really see yellow. Hopefully you can see in person. The camera has a tough time filming sometimes those amber kind of colors. So it's like an amber light there. It's quite easy to see in person, but yeah, there's just some fun stuff in here that makes it pretty fun. And but other than this gauge here, you get everything you would get in a normal Elantra or even a top-of-line Elantra, right? You've got the quiet mode here, which can keep the rear speakers off and the front speed quiet, so you can have people sleeping in the back or listen to their own music. You still got Blue Link here, so you can remote start the car. You can lock the car, make sure it's all done that way. You've even got little garage door openers on the mirror here. Those Blue Link buttons like we talked about, if you had to call SOS, if you had to call for emergency help or a tow truck, you've got that. You have nice lighting in here as well, and something like a sunroof that makes this car feel... Oops, come on, camera. There we go. The sunroof makes this car kind of feel normal. So overall, other than that N gauges, you gain everything you would have in sort of the luxury versions of every hybrid. My Santa Cruz has very similar software of this, and I have this top-line Santa Cruz Ultimate here. It's very similar. You have knobs and buttons there, nice stereo system here, and of course, you've got a volume knob, which you guys like, and then the automatic climate control. It's a dual-zone automatic climate control. There's a lot of glare on camera, but I don't see a lot of that. In fact, I don't see any of that glare on person. How can I find the right angle here? Whenever you're filming with the camera's got one eye, you've got two, so you can diffuse this glare here. But yeah, the dual-zone climate control works well. You've got heated steering wheel, you've got heated seats, and of course, being these kind of suede type feel seats, you don't have that cold leather on your rear end in the winter, so you've got your rump roasters that keep you nice and warm. It works well, and as everyday drivability, again, all this works very well in conjunction with everything else. You have a wireless phone charging pad, you've got a USB port down there. If I can see it there, yeah, USB port there, and a 12-volt port right here, in addition to your wireless phone charging right there. Let's put the car into reverse. Reverse is kind of nice as well. You've got a little bit of a tall spoiler at the back. I can see out the back window, no issues, but you've got your backup camera that's super clear, and then you've got your rear backup beepers down this side. So again, if you don't notice something right in your eyes here, these will beep as you get closer, and you'll see a green, yellow, and red as it comes closer, and you'll know it's on the corner of the car or it's directly behind you, whatever it is you're seeing there. So just again, nice everyday features as far as livability. Coming to the steering wheel, you've got some things that hint this is not just an everyday car. The two N buttons, which we can customize to be a lot of different things. You can put it in the custom mode. NGS is N grin shift. If you're driving in your neighborhood at night, this is a don't use in your neighborhood kind of thing. Use this when you don't have your neighbors coming knocking on your door. It gives you 20 seconds of real raw performance, gets that engine right revved, ready to perform. It's an absolute blast to drive, but it will make sure that your neighbors are not happy with you if you're coming in late at night. So this is the kind of button which, again, use on the country roads, use on the highways, that kind of thing. But you want to make sure that you're not using this in your neighborhood because it will be something that turns up the volume on the outside of the car and makes it fun. N grin shift. The GS stands for grin shift, makes you grin. Yeah, and then I have a regular that says, use it, tick them all off, who cares? So exactly, yeah, that's the other option. All right, but overall here, you've got your lane keeping assist, or lane follow assist, excuse me, so the car is capable of steering itself, sort of keeping it centered in the lane. Now, normally on this car, that's not a feature you probably want. You want to kind of hug those corners. So the fact that you can turn it on or off from your thumb makes a lot of sense. I like it. I like it in this car even. I thought it was an unnecessary thing on this car, but when you're driving this very direct steering car down a highway, having it keep itself centered on its own just takes the stress out of driving a long trip. So keep in mind that when you drive a normal crossover down the road, you know, your hand can do this and you can kind of stay in the lane, right? When you drive this car, it's got very precise, very darty steering, which is what you want in a performance car. But when you drive down the highway, it can get more tiresome having a car that's that direct and that steady. So having that lane follow assist allows you to just let the car kind of keep some control for itself. You're responsible for where it goes, but it can kind of steer for itself, and that is a nice feature to have on this car. And then again, just normal stuff. You've got the extra star button. You can customize that button to be a number of different things. And then, of course, you've got paddle shifters, but not like on my Santa Cruz, which is the typical Hyundai paddle shifters. These ones extend well down on the bottom and well up top, so they're much more reachable from anywhere on the wheel. And if you're anywhere on this side of the wheel, you can reach them with one of your fingers, and same thing on this side here. And I'm on the record as saying, again, as someone who absolutely loves a manual transmission, I believe this car is better with an automatic transmission. For everyday drivability, that would stand, but also it's just, they designed this thing so well for fun that I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. And it is both extremely fun and more practical for everyday driving. So we're going to talk about that. Now, I'm going to jump out second. We're going to take your questions. We've got 63 people on. Let's aim for, I was going to go for 60. Should we go for 60 likes? Let's see if we can get to 60 likes. So if everybody wants to hit the like button right now, we'll go for 60 likes. I'm going to talk about the suspension of this car while I jump out and head towards your questions, because that is the one compromise piece that you can't see in this video. That is definitely something you're going to have to factor into your decision. So let's do that. Talk about how this suspension works. So basically, you can set the suspension to soften in a lot of different ways. So when you have different levels of suspension, and basically it's electronically controllable for essentially drive modes is the one way, but you can customize just the suspension. And in the softest setting, it is a firm riding car. Even in the softest setting, it is the firmest riding car in the entire Kia Hyundai lineup. So that's something to keep in mind. That being said, someone like myself, I don't find it uncomfortable in that setting, especially here in the Elantra. You may find that the hardest settings are uncomfortable, but that's what makes this car fun. There is no car in the lineup that, even on its most aggressive, sporty suspension settings, that is as firm as this in its softest setting. So that is the one compromise you're going to make. For me, it would work. For my wife, she would say it's probably rougher than it used to be. If you are from a heavily potholed city, you may find that this is a compromise you're not willing to make. If you are from a normal potholed city, you'll probably be perfectly fine with it, understanding, of course, what this car is as an everyday driver. If you find that the ride in a car matters to you more, this car does not, quote, ride well. It's not designed to. It's designed to go around corners very, very, very quickly, including on a racetrack. So that's one thing to keep in mind. All right, let's take your questions here. And then we're going to jump back in. I want to go rear seat and trunk space and talk about why it's actually very practical to own this car. And we'll go from there. So let me see what we've got. Is there any cruise control? Yes, we showed you that. Someone says amazing looks. It really does look good in person. To me, this is my favorite N car. I love the Veloster. The Kona N, I think, makes sense for a lot of people, but for me personally, it's not the one I would choose over the Elantra. The Elantra keeps you nice and low, which gives you that sporty feeling, and then we'll show you some advantage of the Elantra over the Kona in a second when we get in there. Somebody's ordered a ceramic white one. Can't wait. Yeah, that's pretty cool. What does Elantra N and Tucson N line have in common? What is the waiting time for both of them? I don't know the waiting times off the top of my head, but it is worth noting that N, and this is where it gets confusing. I have to word these things carefully. When you get an Elantra N in the Hyundai lineup, that is different than an Elantra N line. So N line is generally a step up in performance. N is a racetrack ready car that is road legal. So N is an absolute blast. You can't find cars like this in this price range that perform like this. It's absolutely crazy fun, but they are not typical cars, right? They have right from the ground. It's not like a suspension package is put on this car. Even the body itself, the structure has extra welds in there to make it stronger. So it's a different car, and that's one thing to differentiate. The N is different than the N line. Somebody says eco mode plus sport steering maxed out for me. Yeah, exactly. So you drive around in eco mode, but you have that nice sport steering. That's exactly what I would like to do as well. And then you hit that other button and you set it up for full-on performance. So there's that. Tucson N-Line. Yeah, so you guys are asking. So yeah, the Tucson N-Line is an appearance type package. There's that. Okay. So, oh yeah, sometimes the gauges are reversed on these cars. Yep, so that's different for some people. Okay. Started seeing the Stinger on your channel. Would you have another? Yes, we'll talk about some Stingers soon. In fact, we have Stinger video coming up today soon. So let's jump in here. Yeah, so Elantra N is sporty. So Elantra N is full-on sports car. Elantra N line is sporty. All right, let's keep flipping around here. Everyday car, if you're going to buy an N model car, so that's, again, Veloster, Kona, or this, the Elantra, to me, this is the best one for your rear seat passengers. Now, the Kona may sit a little taller. Obviously, the Veloster has that 3-door design, so it can fit 4 people, but it's not really designed for 4 people. This one is, in my books, by far the best rear seat car. Now, you do sit a little lower than in the Kona, so that may be something that's a drawback. Kona does not have a ton more headroom than this, so headroom is going to be similar. Leg room, your legs are on the seat here. It's good. You have a little bit more width here. The reason I prefer this over the Kona is right here. This seat is set up where I need it here, and you have tons of space. The Kona actually has fairly thick seats, and the Kona already is a little bit shorter of a rear seat space anyways. So for me, Kona works great if you want the crossover look, crossover feel, a little bit different driving position because you like that driving position. That's a good reason to get the Kona N. They're still a blast to drive. I personally, in my performance car, like to sit a little lower. Regular everyday cars, I would like to sit a little higher. But if you want to sit a little higher and have a performance car, Kona makes sense. But right here, again, there's the biggest difference right here for the Elantra N is rear seat room is fantastic. It's really, really, really good in this class. You don't have a lot to talk about back here. We'll just show you around here. This one does not have heated rear seats or anything like that. It does have the nice grippy seats, which is what you want in a corner, but there's no side bolstering like there is in the front seat. No pockets, but these are plasticky backed seats, so you can wipe them down clean. No vents, no ports, no nothing. This is all about performance. You do have the little racing harness you can get through and poke the driver, or hang on there and poke the driver when you want. But yeah, not a whole lot, and not even an armrest back here in the center seats. So again, comfortable for up to 5 people, certainly for 4 people, very comfortable. But again, to me, this makes it the best daily driver as far as you can take your friends out. There's no compromise there. And whoever comes out with you is going to have a blast. Now, back here in the trunk, another reason to buy this vehicle. A lot of people think that something like the Kona would have the best trunk. And the Kona might have the best trunk. It does have fold-down seats in the Kona, and you can fit a lot of stuff. This one here, it's worth noting, you can't fold down the seats here. Well, I mean, maybe you can, but you're not gonna, you can fold down the seat, but you can't, like, gain full access, right? You could put hockey sticks through, that kind of thing, but it is not a 60-40 fold. It is just a single piece that folds, and you have this permanent brace here, which, again, is part of supporting that performance stiffness of this car, but you won't be able to slide long items through. Kona is going to have the best fold-down seats with fitting long items in. Veloster still has fold-down seats as well, but it's a little different style trunk. When we talk about overall size, when you start comparing crossovers, if you don't stack a lot of things high or you don't have really big boxes, this is a 2 teddy bear trunk. Like 2 teddy bear trunk is basically like Santa Fe length of flooring, right? So you've got a long floor here that can fit a lot of stuff. And I think that's a huge pro in this Elantra N model, because having that kind of space in the trunk is very, very practical. So again, everyday driving vehicle, you're gonna have a ton of space there in the trunk if you don't need to fold those seats down. Now, underneath here, a little extra space if you wanted to, because you have a inflator kit instead of a spare tire, which makes sense given the wheels on this car. I don't think that's an issue for a lot of people. So there we go. We're gonna close this down. Let's take a look at some lighting, and we'll talk about why I think you'll like some of the features of this car for just an everyday driving lighting perspective. So, all right, turn the car to the on position. Got the headlights on. Now again, you're paying a pretty penny for this Elantra, right? You can get an Elantra from like under $20,000. This one's $40,000. And you're buying basically $40,000 of a performance car. So that's what the other $20,000 goes to, right? But you get some luxury items as well. Top of the line LED headlights, they're very, very clear. And you can see they are the projector style lights. So that is the higher end version of these LED headlights. You can see there was some flickering of these lights. They don't flicker in real life, but that's your daytime running lights. But overall here, when you come down here, blazingly bright lights. And because they are the LED lights, come on camera, you can get there. Because they are the LED lights, they are very white in color in real life. The camera doesn't film them right on this wall, but they are very, very white. That allows your eyes to help identify what you're seeing. You're gonna be super impressed with this car at night. Let's turn the signal on for a second. Signal light is buried in this car, like all Elantras. You don't really see it at all until it's in use there. It's sort of buried in the dash there. You hardly see it at all. So again, no fog lights on this car. It doesn't really bother me. Headlights are fantastic as is. Maybe they could have done some extra cool little LED lighting kind of things in here. I feel like that would have been a nice step up for the Elantra, and just to have some extra little daytime running lights to separate it from the regular Elantra. But other than sitting a little lower with a red line, a different grille. So someone looking at them in the mirror, they wouldn't really have a clue that this is a special car from the front. From the side, you certainly notice that. Come along to the back here, and you've got the typical Elantra lights here. Now, they never film correctly, so I want to be really clear. To my eyes, this little T section here is identical in color to the trunk lid there, but on the camera, it does pick it up a little bit different. You've got your signal lights there as well, yellow signal all in the same cluster, and of course, the dual exhaust right there. So, coming back around here, these tires, they are 35 series tires. Obviously, they're performance tires. You're going to need winter tires. If you're daily driving this car, you cannot drive with these tires in the winter safely. You're going to need some winter tires as well, so that's something to keep in mind for daily driving. If you're the kind of person who swaps out your winter tires anyways, no big deal. If you're the kind of person who doesn't want to do that, this is not the car for you. I do not recommend in any way driving with these in winter tires in the winter. And you might think, oh, I don't drive in the snow. Let me just be really clear. I've driven this car semi-athletically in very cold weather. These tires don't have the grip in the cold weather. You hear about that with your all-season tires, but these are things. Someone says, sounds like the hella expensive tires to replace. They're not Elantra tires. They are more expensive tires. I don't think they're crazy expensive, but yeah, they are summer tires. They are designed to give you a ton of grip, and that makes it fun. But yeah, they're not your regular economy car tires. And again, that might be a compromise you have to decide between this and a regular vehicle. The most recent comparison I'm going to keep coming back to is the K5 GT. Someone asked me about. That was the direct comparison that was asked in the comment section. They like the look of the K5 GT. They've gone to this. I have sort of an online friend of mine here who I met through this channel who went from a K5 GT to this car. I don't think he has any regrets either, but they are different cars. One is geared for performance first. The other is a comfort car that's with more performance in mind at the end of the day as well. So, all right, let me come back, answer your questions here, see what we've got. Can I see the key for this car? Sure, we showed it at the beginning of the video, but I'll show it again. Hopefully getting mine next month. Hopefully no shipping issues, yeah. So just so you know, there was a rail strike going on, guys. That lasted like 2 days. I guess they've gone back to work. They have some agreement in place. So rail strike would have been very bad for timing of cars for us. May not have noticed how big that could have been, but it is very good. So that's not going on. So if you're waiting for these cars, shouldn't be any real delay for that. Okay. What else we got? All right. At the very beginning, I showed the key. Yeah, I did. Are the headlamp used proprietary or standard LED bulbs? When you say standard LED bulbs, I'm not sure what you mean. It's Hyundai's version. So whether they're licensed out or done by another company, I'm not sure. Generally speaking, I think they would be designed in-house with a Hyundai at this point. I don't see any reason they wouldn't do that. Will I have a Tucson XRT on this channel? So in Canada, we don't have a Tucson XRT, so I might have like an N-line. I don't know what the XRT is. Sometimes they have different names in different countries, and I may have something similar, but I don't have that specific one. All right. Do I have production numbers for each color? Performance blue, the most exclusive? That's probably true. I don't have production numbers right now. Right now, generally the way it's working with Canadian vehicles, I don't know about Hyundai specifically, I know with Kia in particular, Kia Canada has a sort of an open order of anything in any color. So keep in mind, with inventories being so low everywhere, we'll take anything we can get. I assume it would be the same for Hyundai. In a normal year, yeah, they would certainly plan based on color, based on other things, but right now, everybody is taking everything they can get because that's what's going on. All right, get back a video of the Tucson N-Line. Yes, I will have the Tucson N-Line. In fact, I tried to get the Tucson N-Line today, but it didn't really work out. So we can have a video of that one in the future. I don't have an issue with that. But yeah, I think what we're gonna do, guys, is we're gonna leave it here. So, real quick, for our regulars, what's coming up? I'm introducing 2 new hosts, one of which you've met already, one you're gonna see in a video today very soon that we'll put up later today. Hey, Mercury Sand Jam, you don't have to ask the same question 5 times. I promise you I see it, and I will get to it. You're asking where they manufacture Hyundai cars? I'll get to it. Don't ask again. I'll tell you that. All right, so coming up, we're gonna introduce 2 new hosts. We're gonna introduce, where am I now? Oh boy. We're gonna introduce some vehicles. There's something I want to tell you about the Stinger. There's something I want to tell you about a hybrid Sportage. So that's coming up, and lots coming up later this week as well. Hey, Gabby's sneaking through. We can talk about that in a second as well. All right, somebody asked, where are the cars manufactured? Could be all over the place. Some of these are in Korea. This particular model, let me just double check. It is a Korean car, and some of them are American. Some of them are other places as well. Gabby, say goodbye. We're going to finish this up because I know what she wants. She wants the vehicle behind me. So
I have to take this car out? Yeah.
Wave goodbye, and we'll talk to you again in the next one.